My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
All right, guys, welcome to Property Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Kaminsky, filling in for Dave DeBow. And if you're curious about how a teacher and a nurse in the Pittsburgh area achieve financial independence through real estate, well, today I've got Tiffany and Steve Tomkowitz on the show, sharing their secrets to success with the BRRRR strategy. Stay tuned for insights into balancing careers, family, and real estate. Tiffany and Steve, welcome to the show. Thrilled to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're excited.
Thank you.
Yeah, me too. So, I was looking over the interview here before the show, and being a teacher and a nurse, that doesn't leave a lot of time for real estate.
That's for sure. That's something that we've really had to figure out and balance. Steve's lucky that he's off in the summertime. If you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Being off in the summertime allows us we try to acquire properties kind of towards the end of the school year, close on the property, and that gives me some time over the summer to work on the property because we're doing a lot of our own work on the properties ourselves. We've been getting better about subbing out some of the jobs, but it allows me time to get in there and get some work done, and that's a nice balance.
Yeah, definitely. It's I always say that people that have like kind of an alternate schedule leaves them that space to attack real estate with that extra time. Whether they're on a 4-on, 4-off or whatever it may be. The 9 to 5 can be a little bit challenging, but when you have like a weird kind of alternating schedule like that, it does give you the runway. So, you could have done anything with your time off. Teachers, maybe they just take the time off. So why real estate? Why not just relax?
Well, so I guess getting into the story a little bit, back in 2013, a guy that I used to work with, he was a teacher, a colleague of mine. He was on the Dave Ramsey plan, and I was after school. I'll never forget it. I was calling to consolidate a loan, and I was calling the credit union. He said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I was telling him, and he said, "Hey, he goes, check out this guy Dave Ramsey." He said, he's pretty good financial wise, and he said, you might want to check it out. So I got to know him pretty well, and then he actually owned a couple rental properties himself, so kind of got me interested in real estate. And then fast forward about a year later, I actually played in a band for a short time, or I guess for a while. And one of the guys was going through a divorce, and he said that his uncle shared with him the Rich Dad Poor Dad series. So he was telling me about that a little bit, and he mentioned that Bigger Pockets was a great place to start listening to podcasts. And Tiff and I, we got hooked. We were listening to podcasts on road trips, in the car, anytime we'd go anywhere. It seemed like we were listening to podcasts, and I enjoyed working with my hands. I enjoyed doing some, projects around the house. And I thought, well, I enjoy doing this, so I might as well monetize it, make some money doing it. That's kind of how it all started.
And I'll just say, like, in the summer times, he would work for somebody else for a construction company, building those Versalock walls and things like that over the summertime, which was good. He really enjoyed being outdoors and things like that. And then once we started with the real estate a few years ago, we did have a couple summers where not much was happening, and we took some time off, and we'd like stay by the pool and just talk about real estate. And I remember like being there and saying, we just keep talking about it. When are we gonna actually start doing something about it? We've listened to all the podcasts, and then it's kind of like, be careful what you wish for, because this summer was particularly just really busy and stressful, and we didn't go to the pool at all. And we're like, oh my gosh, it's either one or the other. So it's good to be busy in real estate. I think we're going to try to figure out like a balance, between like lounging all summer in the pool and, working on properties and talking about real estate all the time. But I think it's so exciting right now. Like each property, you get that like high when you're buying it and thinking of all the things to do to it. And then like we're at the tail end of a flip right now, and the struggle is real to try to push through to get those last minute things done. But it's exciting, and it's sort of addicting. So I don't know, maybe one day I'm sure we'll figure out a better balance and get back to the pool. But but this summer was busy.
Yeah, maybe you have to cut a few summers of pool to spend a whole year at the pool. So that's
Yeah,
usually the
exactly.
short term, any sort of short term sacrifices and in long term gains. So I'm proud of you guys for putting your head down and getting it done. So how many properties have you been able to turn around with the BRRRR method so far?
4. So we have 4 rentals right now. We did do one flip a few years ago, and we're in the middle of a flip right now, but we've done 4 properties using the BRRRR method. So yeah, it's going well. But how many of those? We had 2 of them just this past year. So this year has just been really busy for us. But yeah, that BRRRR method that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, recycling the money, especially for people who are in a W-2, the BRRRR method allows them to recycle that capital and, really continue to grow that portfolio. Because a lot of times people are trying to necessarily escape their job, but, it is nice that the bank says, hey, you have a job, let's give you that mortgage. So what do you see as, your guys' unfair advantage as far as Robert Kiyosaki goes? What comes easy to you guys that other people might find difficult?
That's a good question.
Well, I think doing a lot of the work. I was fortunate when we did our flip, working for that construction company. A couple of the guys came over and helped me. We had to do a big demo project, and I just was able to hire those guys to come over and help out. So that was an advantage. And I think just it's a blessing and a curse. And I've often heard that on podcasts. It's like, okay, if you know how to change the toilet or change the water heater, it's like you can do it. So you don't want to pay somebody to do it. So it's a blessing and a curse. But I think just getting started here, or not just getting started, but in the beginning, it was very helpful. And I'm kind of seeing the light of subbing out the jobs because, I'll come home from work after teaching and I just pop into the property, talk to the guy that's working there. And it's like, hey, all this work got done in 8 hours while I was doing my, other job. And then this is all getting done on its own. So I think that was nice. That kind of came easy to us. And yeah, I think that was.
I'll just say, I think you're really good at being, like, Steve's very good at being organized and on top of things. And he's easy to talk to people, and he has a big network of friends. And so, like, those 2 flips that we did, it was from word of mouth because he's just knows a lot of people in the community, and they referred those houses to us. So I think that is like a real strength that you have. I get excited about not the construction part, but like the design part of it. I like talking to tenants. I like more of the people part of the business. And so I think that our secret sauce is being able to work well together, that we have different interests that kind of cover all of real estate, if that makes sense.
Both sides of it.
Oh, that's okay. And I'll add one more thing too. Like at school, I was a math teacher and I teach STEM and engineering. So I'm a numbers guy. I'm pretty, black and white, like, analytical, and she's more the visionary. So, I'll go into a space and I'll just do whatever she tells me to do as far as like rehabbing it. But as far as design, I'm struggling in that department, but she'll pick out the paint colors, the tile colors, and all that stuff. And it's like, okay, here it is, go install it. And that's kind of what we do. So,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to have a shared passion that both people are interested in, because you are spending the time doing it, right? And so, if one person was in and one person was out, it could, potentially put a wedge between some couples where they're like, oh, you're spending all the time at the house, doing renovations or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's good that you guys are on the same page, and that's really what makes a power couple. So what is the day-to-day real estate look like for you guys now that I guess summer is over and you're into like the managing and maintenance of these things?
Yeah, we actually, right now managing this flip, I mean, I'm pretty much making daily stops, checking on the contractor, making sure all the work's getting done. We have a very, very good contractor. Mike's doing a great job for us. But it's the management. It's like, making sure he's getting what the materials on site, making sure that he's sticking to the schedule, making sure he's sticking to the budget. And that can be cumbersome. And, we're dropping the kids off at soccer practice and going to Home Depot to pick up materials and running them to the house, so we're doing that. And then, on top of that, the 4 other properties that we're managing, making sure the tenants are, have what they need, making sure that we're, keeping track of the books. We're using QuickBooks right now, trying to manage all the finances because, you know, end of year's coming. So all the tax stuff is going to be happening. We got to make sure that all of our expenses are spelled out. So it's a lot,
It is. We try to check in with each other like at lunchtime and just see, I'll fill him in if an issue came up. It seems like every day there's just something that we have to make a decision on or address or just talk through. And then in the evening time, when he comes back from school, we just gotta, kind of powwow. It's like we need to we're getting better at discussing things like a business, right? Like having a list of to-do items and how are we going to get through this and take it away. And then once that, like the decisions are made, then we can go back to being a couple and mom and dad and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
but the day-to-day is
11:45 at night, something like that.
Yeah, it's it's tough. It's good. It's really fun. It's kind of fun to have something like such a big project in common with him. Like I don't watch sports that much. I don't know, he's yelling at the TV and like I don't get it. Or I'll be watching like a murder show on TV and he's like not interested.
Yeah, I
But
don't get it.
yeah. He's like, I can't believe you watch the wife is always killing the husband. I'm like, I don't know. It's fun to me to watch those. But that kind of stuff we don't connect on. But the real estate we're able to, and it's kind of fun and it's neat for me to see something come to life, right? Like my job, I was in the hospital for 17 years and now I work from home. I'm a legal nurse consultant. So I work on medical records and it's nothing that is tangible that you can see at the end of the day of, I'm working on the computer all day. I don't get to see anything. But as these projects go through, it's so neat to see the tile go into a shower that you picked out at Home Depot and now it's, installed. So it's really fun to work on that together, most of the time.
Yeah. So let's touch on that. You've told us a lot about what you love about it. What maybe isn't so much fun?
I will say, like, right now I'm getting so we bill our tenants for sewage, for water, or we bill them for sewage and water and garbage because those are lienable. So we try to pay those up front and then bill the tenant. But uploading bills, uploading invoices, going through those things, that is tedious to me. I mean, I don't mind doing it, but it's like, it's time consuming. So that's one thing I don't like about it. But so, you hear about those dreadful calls and, it's like, oh, this needs addressed, but I don't mind fixing these things. So for me, I say this out loud, I should knock on wood because watch me get a call, something goes out. But, so far it's been pretty good. It's just the billing stuff has been a little tedious for me.
Yeah, for me, it's, I always think, okay, we're getting in. We've done this a few times. I've got the process down. It's not going to take so much time. And it always seems to take more time than I think it's going to. So this flip, I really wanted, it was supposed to be done, a month ago. Well, the countertops can't come in and the door guy wasn't available. And so we have to wait on other people. And sometimes I'm just like tired of making decisions. I had to pick out doorknobs from Home Depot or, from anywhere. And I'm like, I don't know. And I asked Steve, like, oh, what doorknobs do you think we should get? And he's like, I don't, whatever you want. So sometimes that like decision fatigue of like, I don't know, gets hard. And like I said, that end of the project stuff it just gets tedious and I'm just ready to kind of move on to the next one. So that's tough. The tenants we've had real like good tenants. I don't mind that so much. And when we do the BRRRR strategy, right, we're taking properties that are in pretty bad shape and fixing them up to get appraised higher. And so since all our properties are new and they're freshly renovated, we're hoping, we're going in trying to fix everything that could be wrong and making sure that they're nice and livable. And we take a lot of pride in that. And hopefully, that'll kind of ward off some of the trouble, the wishful thinking maybe, but that's like the mentality that we have going in there. Let's make it nice. Let's fix everything that needs fixed so that it'll be good for the tenant and it'll be ultimately good for us to kind of avoid some of those problems. And it's worked out because they've appraised and, that's always a nice
Yeah.
Nice thing to happen too.
And, we're trying to make them tenant proof, but we're trying to make them nice. We're trying to install durable flooring. We're trying to repaint, do things like that. But, as she said, we're pulling equity out of these properties. So it's not costing us anything out of pocket. We're able to add value to the property. And then, you turn around, it gets appraised, and then you even have more equity in it when it's all said and done. So it's been working out, just kind of going in with that mindset of we want to make these properties nice. We want to attract higher class tenants. We want to, make and a lot of the places we're investing are in our own neighborhood. So we kind of look at it as a community, trying to uplift the community, trying to make nice properties, nice places for people to live. That's going to boost our local, community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I mean, certainly if you make them nicer, there's like a congruency where that type of tenant is like, it feels uncomfortable. Like, this is too nice for me. I don't deserve it. And they can kind of, it does have an effect. So, one thing, if you care, there is a certain amount that decision fatigue you're talking about actually is a real thing. And there's there's a measured number. I think it's about 12 or 15. That's why you see Steve Jobs and those guys wear the same thing every day, so that they can save the number of decisions for when it matters, like what doorknob. So, when I used to coach people through real estate, I would say, look, maybe it's not so important that you decide what you eat for breakfast every day. More importantly, what we do at the house. So, if you're feeling that way, try to shave a few decisions off your day, and you'll be surprised at what kind of outcome you can have. The other thing too is I've got another investor friend who he made a really good point. He said, I don't allow other people to force me into decisions. When you reach that, it's perfectly fine to say, I'm done making decisions today. Talk to me tomorrow. Don't let the world force you to make a decision today that you're not ready to do. Yeah. And he's been really successful in just mitigating that decision fatigue by just saying, I'm out of decisions. Talk to me tomorrow.
Yeah. So, I like that. Yeah.
So with capital, you guys have been BRRRRing, and at a certain point you start to get the taste for like scale. And I'm getting the feeling that you guys want to ramp it up a little bit. What's your plan for raising capital and going forward here?
Yeah, we're kind of at a point now where the very first property we bought it in our own name. We were still very new to the game, and we bought it in our own name. We since formed an LLC, and we have the other 3 properties in the LLC, and we're operating the flip out of the LLC. And I'm kind of, in the back of my mind, I hear this, talk of once you reach a certain number of properties, it's hard to get lending because, you kind of tap out your, number of loans that you could take out in the LLC. So we, are certainly considering, possibly a joint venture or teaming up with somebody, maybe getting some capital, whether it be private, whether it be through like a public, lender or something, not a public lender, but, somebody that has a lending business, and go that route.
What happened was, like, we've been BRRRRing, and then we got this flip underway, and, hopefully we sell the flip and we have some capital there. But what happened was, all our money is tied up into this flip right now. And then, and this awesome property,
like capital intensive flips, or
it is. And then this other property came up that was like perfect. It was so nice, and like met all our criteria. It's in this neighborhood, and I would have like loved to have bought it, but we were tied up. Like, we couldn't do anything, and then that really kind of put us both like, oh man, we need to figure out how to get more capital, so if this happens again, that we can jump on it quicker. Now a friend of ours, like, she actually bought it, and she's gonna do something with it, so I'm happy for her. But I thought, man, it was like the first time where I felt like we really missed out because we didn't have that part of the puzzle together yet.
And I think too that with the capital game, it's nice to have that capital. It's nice to have it available. It's nice to have it liquid because, if we're going to manage 2 or 3 properties, I'm only one person. If I'm going to do some work in, let's say, June on a property and another one comes up, I can only go to one property at one time. So that way we can sort of get a second crew or a second rehab going, or whatever the case may be. And getting that capital in place is going to definitely help that. And now I'm kind of stuck, and I'll be honest with you, I mentioned Dave Ramsey earlier, and he always says the only ship that doesn't sail is a partnership. And that always stuck with me. And I get nervous about, because we've been doing this ourselves. We take a lot of pride in the things that we've done together, as a partnership together. But as far as going out of our little circle here, we have to learn to trust other people. We need to learn to, trust the process, because I know people are scaling like crazy. They're in these capital, groups, and they're killing it. And we're kind of, one at a time, one per year, maybe two per year. And I know people are going, two per month. So that's kind of where we need to go.
Yeah, I know a guy in Ohio who does 31 a month. So
31. Oh my gosh.
yeah, I mean, it's a matter of not over leveraging, not over scaling, like it's you don't start running before you start walking. So don't try to measure yourself against other people. Just run your race and be comfortable with your existence, because the last thing you want to do is blow it all up by going too fast and falling on your face. So um as far as the partnership's concerned, if one thing that has really served a lot of my investor friends is, when looking for investor partners, try to find a value add. If you're gonna take money into your business, maybe it's good that it's coming from an accountant. If you're going to take money into your business, maybe it's good that it's coming from a lawyer, or something that's real estate adjacent, so that's not just a money partnership, but it's also a value partnership. Then you can get a little bit of a relationship beyond just capital across the table. So that's one thing that's really served a lot of my investor friends well, is just making sure that there's a little bit more, because money is everywhere. Deals are the hard part. People to do the deals, there's money all over the place, but that value add is really going to give you guys the difference in the edge, and scaling this thing up. And just don't overscale. There's a reason that there's a load bearing limit on how far you can span a house over the foundation, because if you go too far, the whole thing's going to fall apart, rip off the side of the house. So as far as leveraging your existing network, have you started exploring family and friends, the cliche, like going to the Sunday dinner and bringing up real estate and seeing who in the family wants to play?
Yeah, we actually, the first flip that we did, so we bought the very first single family in our own name, and then we found a flip, and my uncle, who's since passed, but he had some extra cash, and we brought up the real estate game to him. And it was very nerve-wracking going to him and saying, hey, I need to borrow $120,000, what do you say? And it was a very uncomfortable conversation, but he said, yeah, sure. And we flipped the property, we sold it, we did very well on it, we were able to pay him back in full. And I was going to kind of add to what you were just saying about money being everywhere. Just owning the LLC and having these properties, and we're doing like one property per mortgage, so that I always say, if something goes sideways, that's the only lienable thing, is that property. So if something goes sideways with the property goes away, and that's kind of all. I don't want to say all you lose. I mean, it's going to be a big hit, but I have control over that. We have control over that. Going to somebody else and saying, hey, give me your money, with a family member, it's a little bit different, because you have that connection there. I know that it could be an uncomfortable Thanksgiving dinner, but if something goes sideways, but going to a complete stranger or somebody in your network and borrowing money, that's a whole nother level, in my opinion, of pressure on me. Like, I got to make sure this deal works. I got to run the numbers. I got to make sure that everything goes right, because if it doesn't, like, we're on the hook for this money. Interest rates are usually higher with private money, and it's like that, and I have to get over that. And I we've talked about this so many times before. The very first property we bought, I was shaking like a leaf on a tree when I made the offer. I was so nervous. I'm like, man, what's going to happen? Walked over, made the offer. The guy said, okay. It's like, all right, here we go.
It's like,
but so I think,
yeah.
So it's just, I think we talk about that. You just got to, that uncomfortable feeling for the first time is uncomfortable. But then after that, it's like, okay, like we made a deal on that. The second most recent property we bought, it was like, we were standing in the kitchen, like, hey, this came on the market for this much. Do an offer? Yeah, let's offer this much. Okay. I texted the agent. It was like, boom, the deal was done. And it was so just cavalier, but we're so comfortable doing it now that we got to get more comfortable with the private lending end.
Yeah. And I'll just chime in, like, one thing I'm thinking about, like, trying to kind of mentally get to that, like, borrowing somebody else's money, is that if I was sitting on a big stack of money, right, and I wanted to make money on it, I think I would want to invest in real estate, or people that were doing it, or people like us, you know what I mean? Like, and I've been really surprised at how many people have gone out of their way to help us, not just we had the help from his uncle, but that have been very supportive and told us like who they use for cabinets, right? And now that's like our cabinet guy, or who they go to for windows. Like they've been very generous with knowledge, and so I guess it makes sense that they would be generous with other things too. But also we would be making them money, but that's another thing that we try really hard to do too is we're in a real estate group that meets once a month, and we have newer people in there too. And it's kind of fun because we have people that haven't bought a single property yet, and they're asking us for advice. And that is like the most fun, right? Like trying to tell them how we did it and how, things to avoid, or call this guy. And I think that there's that sense in the real estate community, because everybody's really had to like hustle and sacrifice and work really hard to be a real estate investor. And it just seems like there's a lot of people, I think, in this community that really want to help other people out. And it's so wonderful to see. I know Pittsburgh people in general are like really friendly. You're from Canada, right? Like you guys are friendly too. But it just seems like we're interacting with people that are really trying to lift us up. So anyway, I'm just trying to think like it's not Scrooge McDuck sitting there like, no, I'll never give you my money. It's people that want to build relationships and like want other people to succeed also. And, hopefully we'll be in a position one day that we'll be able to kind of pay that forward at some point. Right. Yeah. So I don't know. It's new. Well, it's uncomfortable.
Remember that people are lending you their kids all day.
Yeah. So that's true. Oh, you're good. That's right.
There's a lot of leverage in just the things that we've already done. And sometimes we underestimate it. And one thing that my mentor said, a year before he passed away, he said, came back from Costa Rica, and he says, fear doesn't exist, Bryce. And I said, well, of course it does. And he says, well, you're not afraid of the dark, are you? And I said, well, no. He says, well, you're afraid of what you can't see in the dark. But once you know where the light switch is, you can just walk into any room that you've been in before and flip that switch. So getting some direction on where that light switch is can really collapse that time frame and get you to that result. And it's usually just fear is not real, in that it's really just a composition of the unknown. So why would anyone invest with you? Well, they're not making offers. They're not fixing houses. They don't want to do that. They're not crazy like us. They want to hang out by the pool. So that's why people invest with people like us, because we're not afraid to do the work, find the deals, manage the deals, have the LLC, be financially responsible enough to maintain the debt. One of my partners yesterday said, we're in the business of servicing debt. If you're in real estate, you're actually in the business of servicing mortgage debt. Because how much mortgage debt do you guys have right now? A lot.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't service that debt, those people don't have anywhere to live.
Right.
That's right. So it's not like flipping, there's a certain type of character that carries the weight of 4 other people's lives every month. And then they pay the rent, but what happens if they don't? The house goes away? No. It comes to you guys, and you guys got to service that debt because you made the promise to service the debt.
Yes.
So don't sell yourself short when it comes to raising capital. A lot of people, like you said, have never bought a property, never even thought about it, only ever own their own house. So you're further ahead than you think. And it's just a matter of, that fear is really just the unknown. Once you get around the idea, just like the first house you bought, now you're cavalier in the sense that it doesn't phase you to buy another one, and you'll get there. It's just a matter of scale. I think it's about time that you guys jumped into that particular pool. So, if people want to invest with you, or they want to contact you and connect with you guys, how do they do that? Where should they go?
So we're in the process of building, getting more on social media. We don't have any social media right now.
Yeah. Facebook or phone numbers or websites.
Yeah,
some people just give their phone number, like, call me.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Our email address is 412oakhill@gmail.com. And you can call 412-780-4420. And that's, you can get a hold of us that way. And we would love to talk to somebody. That would be wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, why not? I mean, there's money all over the place, and you guys are finding deals. So if you're listening at home, give them a shout, see if you're in the Pittsburgh area, maybe you can go and check out one of their properties and see what they're all about.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd be
That'd be
happy to
great.
show them.
Awesome, guys. Well, until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.